In this video, we are going to discuss few topics from the chapter Atomic Structure and Chemical Bonding from the book A New Approach to ICSE Chemistry, Class 9. In our previous videos, we have discussed about the introduction to the atomic structure, cathode rays, anode rays, J.J. Thomson experiment and Rutherford experiment. And now we are going to start with Bohr's atomic model. Bohr, whose full name is Niels Bohr, he was a Danish physicist, and he said that for describing the motion of the electrons around the nucleus, classical law of mechanics and electrodynamics can't be used. This means one cannot use law of classical electrodynamics to explain the motion of electrons around the nucleus. He further suggested that the electrons revolve around the nucleus in a certain specific paths, and those are called orbits. If we look for the diagram, this is the nucleus of the atom. Around the nucleus revolves the electrons, and the electrons revolves in a specific path. These are the electrons in the specific paths, and these specific paths are called orbits. This is nucleus, and this is electron. And the electrons revolve in the specific orbit. These are the specific paths in which the electrons revolve. The space between the two orbits is called forbidden territories. This space which is between the two orbits is called forbidden territories. Now let's see what else has Niels Bohr suggested. Niels Bohr said that the electrons cannot move into the area between the two orbits. This means the electrons cannot move to the forbidden territories place. However, he said that on gaining the certain fixed amount of energy, the electrons can jump from one shell, means from one orbit to the next orbit, or vice versa. However, the electrons will not position itself in between the space of the two orbits. Looking into the diagram, that the electron can jump from the first orbit into the second orbit, or the electrons can jump from second orbit into the first orbit by losing the energy or by gaining the energy, but the electrons cannot come to this empty space which is called forbidden territories. So these were the suggestions given by the Niels Bohr. He further said that as for moving one orbit to the another orbit, the electrons have to absorb or radiate out some fixed amount of energy. Therefore, these orbits are also called energy levels. Means the other name given to the orbits is called energy levels. So orbits can also be called as energy levels, as specific amount of energy is associated with these orbits. Moving on further, he said, for the sake of convenience, the orbits or the shells are given specific names, and those specific names start with the alphabet K, means the first shell is called K shell. Looking into the diagram, this is the first shell, it would be called as K shell. The second shell, it would be called as L shell. This means the first shell is called K shell, second shell is called L, third is called M, fourth is called N, fifth is called O, and so on. This means the Neil Bohr suggested the shell names, and the shell name starts from K and continues with L, M, N, O, and so on. So these were the names given for the convenience by the Neil Bohr for illustrating the different orbits around the nucleus. Moving on further, the new topic is assumption and the discovery of neutron. Till now, the scientists have discovered the electrons, the protons, and the nucleus. When the nucleus of an atom was weighed, it was thought that the electrons in an atom is having a negligible mass, and on weighing the atom, all the weight of the atom should be of positively charged protons. This means that the nucleus would have some weight because of the protons present in it, and electrons are not having any large mass, or you can say the electrons are having negligible mass as compared to protons. On weighing an atom, the atom should weigh according to the number of protons present in the nucleus. For example, this is an atom having 2 positive protons and 2 negative electrons. Now, we know that the mass of one proton is 1.67 into 10 raised to the power minus 24 grams. And for the 2 protons, we should multiply it by 2, and this is the total weight of the protons present in the nucleus of an atom. So this means that it should come up (3.34 into 10 raised to the power minus 24 grams). But on weighing the atom, it was seen that the mass was much more than the mass of 2 protons. This means that there is something extra which is providing the mass to this atom. And this theory concluded that there is something extra in the nucleus which is having some sort of mass but is not having any charge on it, due to which the total mass of the atom is much more than the number of protons present in the nucleus. And this thing led to the discovery of neutrons. As neutrons are also possessing some mass that is equal to the mass of protons, this means that the neutrons are also present in the nucleus, though they are having no charge on it, but they are having specific mass of it that is equal to the mass of proton. Here they have taken the example of helium, and in book they have not taken the absolute mass, they have taken the relative mass of a proton. In the example which I have taught to you, here I have taken the absolute mass of one proton, while in book absolute mass is not given, relative mass is given, and they have explained with the help of a relative mass. So let's see from the book. it says that in case of helium there are two protons. It means one proton is having relative mass of 1.008 and two protons is having the mass of 2.016 AMU. But when the atom of the helium was weighed, it was found that the atomic mass is 4.003, which is actually near about double to the mass of two protons. This shows that there is something else in the nucleus apart from protons, which is possessing mass and which is giving the mass to the total atom. Hence, the neutrons were discovered. And the scientist who discovered the neutrons is scientist Chadwick, and he was the one who discovered neutrons. He further said that a nucleus is having more than 100 different kind of particles in it, and the most important particles are protons, mesons and neutrinos. Thus, he means scientist Chadwick said that there are more than 100 particles present in the nucleus, and the two important particles are protons and neutrons, and the rest of the particles and the main particles are given protons, mesons and neutrinos. Moving on further, let's discuss the modern views about the structure of atom. For understanding this modern view about the structure of atom, let's understand the example of whirling a fireball in all possible directions. And it would look something like in front of your screens. Here you can see the sparkles moving around in the elliptical path. They move in all possible directions. Similarly, if you consider this fireball as the electron, the modern atomic theory says that the electrons also move in the same way as the sparkle is whirled in all possible directions. And if you compare this slide with the atom, then you can see, considering this fireball as the electrons and considering the green and orange mass as nucleus, you can see that the electrons revolves in a elliptical path. They come closer to the nucleus and they move further. Again they come closer to the nucleus and they move further, but they don't collide with each other. Hence we can see that the electrons move in the elliptical path around the nucleus. The same diagram is given in the book also. Here it is explained how the electrons revolve around this nucleus in the elliptical path. The electrons revolves around the nucleus in the elliptical path, which continuously changes its direction as illustrated in the slide you have seen right now, and it is same as given in the diagram figure number 4.9 of your book. The electrons come closer to the nucleus and they moves away from it before taking the another path. This shows that electrons are not moving in a circular path around the nucleus, but they are moving in the elliptical path as you have seen in the slide before. They move in the elliptical path, not in the circular path. All of these electrons, they move within the atom at a very high speed, and therefore it takes billions and millions of revolutions around the nucleus in 1 second. Thus we can say that the nucleus is surrounded by an envelope of sphere of the negative charge around the nucleus. Let us understand this thing with the help of another slide. Here you can see a man standing with the ball in his hand, and the ball is attached with the string, or the ball is tied with the string. And now let's see. Now the ball starts moving. It is impossible to judge where the ball is at a specific time, because the ball is moving with a great speed. Therefore, it is not easy to estimate where the ball is at a specific time. Similarly, if we consider this example with the atom, that we can say that the electrons are moving with the great speed that we can't estimate that at a specific time where could be the electrons present. It means it could be present anywhere and it is everywhere. That is why it is written in the book that the possibility of finding the electron is anywhere and everywhere, as the electrons are moving with the great speed. Hence we can say that the electrons surround the nucleus and they revolve in the elliptical path in a very great speed. And the spherical configuration in which the electron revolves, where the electron could be, that spherical configuration is called the electron cloud. Means it is the area where there is the possibility of electron to be present while revolving around the nucleus. That's all in this video.